So what is it really like living in Lincoln Park, Chicago? Well, this video I'm going to tell you. And yes, you've probably heard me hype up Lincoln Park, Chicago many times on this channel. However, today I'm gonna take off my realtor hat, I'm gonna take off my YouTube channel hat, and I'm just gonna give you the full details, the no BS reasons why I love living in Lincoln Park, and also some of the reasons why maybe I don't. And so today's video, we're gonna be focused on living in Lincoln Park, Chicago in 2024, the pros and cons. In the past week alone, I've had 6 individuals and families from this YouTube channel reach out to me about living in Lincoln Park. Whether there's somebody that already lives in Chicago thinking about selling a home in Lincoln Park, or possibly moving to Chicago and wanting to be in Lincoln Park. A lot of you are doing your research online. You're starting to understand through watching my videos on this channel that there are different neighborhoods, actually 77 different community areas that you can choose from in Chicago. However, I usually boast about Lincoln Park because it's the one that I live in, it's the one I work in, and it's the one that so many of you are attracted to for good reason. And so I'm not only gonna give my personal opinions on 5 pros and 5 cons of living in Lincoln Park, but I'm also gonna tie in some of the thoughts and some of the things that I've heard from other people that are considering moving here. And the great thing about this is it's super fresh. So last weekend I actually toured with a couple that came in to Chicago from out of state, and they are focused on finding a home here in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. So touring around with them for a few hours over a couple days, I really learned a lot about the mindset and the different reasons that they're considering living in this beautiful neighborhood. So today we're gonna be breaking these down so you can get a better feel whether Lincoln Park is right for you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Pyle and I am your go-to Chicago real estate agent. My team and I have been servicing the city of Chicago for the last 10 years, and we'd be so honored to help you achieve your real estate goals here in the Windy City. So if you have any questions about moving to Chicago in 2024, and specifically moving to Lincoln Park, or needing to sell a home or move to Lincoln Park from somewhere else in Chicago, well, just do us a favor, text the number on the screen and a team member or myself will get in touch within 24 hours. Also, feel free to check out all the resources down in the description, and do us a favor that this is valuable today and like, comment, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And lastly, turn on notifications so you can be the first to know about all things living in Chicago. All right, so diving into the 5 pros and the 5 cons, and we're gonna go one at a time, 1 pro and then 1 con, all the way till we get to the 10 different bullet points here. And I just wanna say that this video is not gonna go into hyper detail about each of these bullet points because we do have a different video, which is the ultimate guide of living in Lincoln Park. So you can check out that video if you have a little bit more questions or you want me to go in a little bit more detail. This is gonna be a little bit more rapid fire, just so you can get the main bullet points for your exploration and your research. All right, pro number 1, Lincoln Park has a very neighborhood feel. So the community in Lincoln Park is just super special. You know, the people are very friendly. You have a diverse makeup of different types of architecture and buildings. And the most important thing that I love so much about Lincoln Park is the fact that you have a ton of green space. You have parks, you have accessibility to Lakeshore Drive and Lake Michigan. Whether you're living in Lincoln Park or in the city, of course you're still gonna be in a big metropolitan area. However, if you're living in Lincoln Park or spending time in Lincoln Park, it's just gonna feel like more of a neighborhood where you're gonna be able to walk out your door, take your dog to the park down the street, take your kids to the park that's in the neighborhood, you know, a couple blocks away, or even ride your bike to the lakefront and go up and down the beautiful lakefront trail. So Chicago, even though it's often referred to as the concrete jungle, there are neighborhoods in Chicago, such as Lincoln Park, where you can go to reside and have more of a neighborhood feel. All right, so we covered pro number 1. Let's talk about con number 1, which is with all this that I just mentioned, it comes with a price tag. And so Lincoln Park here in Chicago is one of the more expensive neighborhoods. So if you're looking for affordability, Lincoln Park is probably not the neighborhood for you. However, what I hear from you that are moving from California or from Boston or New York or San Francisco, Chicago is incredibly affordable. So it's all perspective at the end of the day. However, in the city of Chicago, Lincoln Park is one of the more expensive cities. So just plan to have a more expensive lifestyle and cost of living. But like I said in pro number 1, you get so much that comes with that elevated cost of living. All right, so pro number 2 is general walkability. I can't tell you how many people that have reached out to me about moving to Lincoln Park here in Chicago have done so because they just don't really want to have a car. They want to be able to live their lifestyle, be able to walk out their door to a restaurant, to the grocery store, to a bar, a coffee shop, whatever it may be, go to the lakefront and go ride their bike or go on a jog. Whatever it is, a lot of times that is one of the core reasons people are choosing to live in Lincoln Park, is because it is so walkable. Unlike other areas of the city where you have to take public transportation or you have to have a car, if you're living in Lincoln Park and you're spending most of your time in Lincoln Park, you can usually get around pretty easily on foot. And so even if you aren't going on foot or you need to go somewhere a little bit outside of Lincoln Park, access to public transit is also incredibly easy in Lincoln Park. All right, con number 2 of living in Lincoln Park is general parking and traffic. And so with beautiful, narrow tree-lined streets comes a lot of headaches moving around in the city, especially when it's wintertime and there's snow on the ground. So ideally you have a garage space or some sort of dedicated parking. However, if you are parking on the street, you can get a city sticker. It's zone 143 in Lincoln Park. And basically what that means is during the day, anyone can park on these streets. However, from I think it's 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., you can only park on certain streets if you have a city sticker that says 143. So it's basically the zone sticker that runs in attachment to your vehicle sticker. However, this will at least ensure that there's gonna be multiple spaces available for the actual residents that live in these certain areas in Lincoln Park. And so even though during the day it may be a little tough to find spots, you're always gonna be parallel parking. So if you don't know how to parallel park, well, you gotta learn. And during the night, you know, if you're coming home after 9 o'clock or whatever it may be, usually you're gonna be able to find some street parking because the zone 143 dissuades people parking there that don't live there because there's a chance that they could get a parking ticket. Also with these more narrow streets and a little bit less of this open field, you're gonna have a lot more traffic. So one of the biggest things that I find is somewhat of a pain certain times a day is going east to west in the city. Going north to south I find is not quite as difficult, but let's just take a main kind of east to west cross street such as Fullerton in Chicago, combining narrow streets with increased traffic and the ability for people to have to jet west in order to hop on the expressway or having to jet east to hop on Lakeshore Drive. A lot of times going east and west of the city, whether it be early in the morning or around like 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night during rush hour, well, it can be quite a pain. So traffic and parking in Lincoln Park is a little bit tough, but again, some of these negatives come with so many more positives in my personal opinion. All right, so pro number 3 is the food scene in Lincoln Park. Some of the best restaurants in the entire city are in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. So whether you want to do a Michelin star restaurant such as Alinea, which I've actually never eaten at, but it's one of the best restaurants in the whole entire world, well, Alinea is in Lincoln Park. One of my other favorites is Summer House Santa Monica. You have Gay House Cafe, which is a fondue restaurant. It's a great place to take a date. You also have Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinder, which if you're looking for that classic deep dish pizza with a ton of history, that is your place to go. And so many other incredible places to eat in Lincoln Park. You also have Boca in Lincoln Park, which is a very popular restaurant. You have Cafe Barbariba, you have Armitage Ale House on Armitage Ave, which is a great place for shopping. And you also have places like Luminati's, which is one of your classic pizza shops here in the city. And to be completely honest with you guys, even though this is one of my pros, I'm not that much of a foodie. So if you are a foodie, you're gonna love Lincoln Park even more than I do for the food reason. And so there's a plethora of food options. I'm just barely scratching the surface with just a few that I named right now. But Alinea, like I said, is one of those that should be on everyone's list if you are a foodie and you're in Chicago, living in Chicago, or visiting Chicago. And so food is often pro number 3, both for me and for everyone else I talk to about why they decide to live in Lincoln Park. All right, con number 3, we're gonna be talking about the weather and specifically the winter here in Chicago. And honestly, when I was thinking about the cons of living in Lincoln Park, like I kind of had to scratch my head and think after the first 2, which was the fact that it's a little bit more expensive and the fact that parking and traffic is difficult. And so I'm gonna throw weather into this just because of some of the reasons I mentioned before. So winter in Chicago in general is a pain in the ass. However, when you're in Lincoln Park on these smaller streets and driving around, I've seen many people get stuck in alleys. I've seen streets not be plowed the way that maybe some of the other streets in the city are that are a little bit more frequently traveled. And so with this more community, smaller, more boutique feel of Lincoln Park, oftentimes some of the negative effects of the winter and specifically the snow and the ice, well, they could be a little bit of a pain if you're living in Lincoln Park. All right, pro number 4 for living in Lincoln Park is things to do. There are so many things. You could literally spend years on years here and not even get to the end of your bucket list. And so some of my favorite things to do, mentioned before, quick accessibility to the lakefront. So literally my favorite thing is running down Fullerton Avenue, heading straight east, getting on the lakefront path, going north, and then going basically to the North Avenue Pier, running down the pier and back. And that's about a 6-mile or so run from where I live. And so that is a great option for me to spend some time in Lincoln Park, but be able to actually take in Lake Michigan and get a little bit outside of the actual city itself and get on the lakefront and have the body of water, which is absolutely beautiful at all times of year and so many different things to do and a lot of different people spending their time on the lakefront. So that's the first thing that I just love to do. And being in Lincoln Park, you just have quick accessibility to that. Another thing that a lot of people like is the Lincoln Park Zoo. You have farmers markets certain times of the year, you have street festivals, and then of course you have a lot of trendy bars, restaurants, comedy clubs, cafes, shopping, dining, whatever it is, you're gonna be able to find it in Lincoln Park. So what I would say though is if you are more like into the nightlife scene, you're gonna find more bars in Lincoln Park than you will find clubs. So if you're looking for the club atmosphere, which I'm not a club rat, I used to have that day back when I was younger and less wise. Nowadays, I spend my time at bars. If I drink, I don't really drink. But it's always good to meet up with some friends or hang out. A little bit more casual, laid back environment is usually what you're gonna find in Lincoln Park, but there are so many amazing spots, including a new speakeasy on Fullerton. If you have any questions about what that is, feel free to comment down below and I'll send you the address and the name of the brand new speakeasy. All right, so con number 4, and I hate even bringing this one up on this channel, and I have to be somewhat careful just to be very open and transparent with you because I am a realtor, but crime in Chicago, it's something that we all understand. We need to get under wraps a little bit and get under control, and we're making strides to hopefully do that in years to come. However, if you're living in Lincoln Park, well, the good thing is I'm gonna spin this a little bit, even though it's a con on this list in this video today. Lincoln Park is one of the more safe neighborhoods in Chicago. So even though crime is gonna happen in any big city, and you just need to be careful when you're out and about, if you're walking the dog at night or whatever it may be, the good thing about this is that Lincoln Park, compared to some other places in Chicago, is gonna be one of your more safe neighborhoods. All right, pro number 5, architecture in Lincoln Park is incredible. And this is not just me speaking as a realtor. As a reminder, my team and I have been servicing the city of Chicago for the last 10 years. If you have any questions about your search or moving to Chicago, just text the number on the screen and we will take care and hopefully help you achieve your real estate goals. So architecture in Lincoln Park, you can really find a little bit of everything. So what I love so much about this is you can find the modern, luxury single family homes. One of my favorite types of architecture in the city are the old classic gray stone and brownstones. You also have brand new rental buildings, luxury high-rise rental buildings. And then a lot of the standard configuration, what I'd say on the tree-lined streets, is you have a lot of old A-frame houses, whether they've been renovated or they're kind of prone for a tear down to become new construction, or you have your general, what I would call your standard type of build, which on a normal lot in Chicago is 25 feet wide by 125 feet deep. That's considered a standard lot. You're typically gonna have what I call a 3-unit walk-up building. It's gonna be a more boutique building. There's gonna be 3 different owners. And so your first floor is typically gonna be like a duplex down. This is usually your largest unit. Your second floor is usually a simplex. Most time it's a 2-bed, 2-bath. Sometimes you get a 3rd bedroom in there depending on the price point. That's usually your most affordable unit. And then your top floor is a very similar layout to your second, but then you have a private roof deck, whether it be an internal staircase or an external staircase. But that's kind of your standard 3-unit boutique building. And sometimes you'll also see a 6-unit, which is a double lot. So same configuration on one side, connected in the middle, and then the same thing on the other side. You just have a lot of different variety in Lincoln Park, and I just love the architecture so much. And in general, the real estate is some of the best in the entire city. So if you're thinking about moving to Lincoln Park, well, you have a lot of different options to choose from. And even if you just want to go walk down the street, talking about things to do, honestly, that's what I do. Sometimes I'll finish a run and I'll just go walk around the neighborhoods. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Just recently we were in the fall market and all the trees were changing. You really got that good neighborhood, homey feel in Chicago, and looking at all the buildings and seeing all the different history and architecture and how these buildings and streets have kind of transformed over time is one of my favorite things to do, but that's also because I'm a real estate geek. But I find that a lot of people find the architecture in Lincoln Park fascinating. All right, con number 5 to finalize the list for today is you have a lot of college students. And the reason for this is DePaul University is located pretty much smack dab in the middle of Lincoln Park. So this is definitely aging me a bit because I'm still a young person, I'm a young professional, but at age 33, when I go get my coffee in the morning, not every day, but when I go to the Starbucks down the street from where I live, more times than not, most of the people coming in and out of there are college students. And there's nothing wrong with this. I love the fact that there are college students that are residing in Lincoln Park, that are going to school and getting their education. For me, I'm a young professionals guy, right? I like to be surrounded by other people like myself and people maybe that are a little bit ahead of where I am, such as young families. And so just for me, having so many students in Lincoln Park, you're gonna get that feel. You're gonna have that feel where there's just a lot of young people. So if you're really trying to avoid some of that type of environment, Gen Zers these days, they have a different way of life than us millennials and anyone older than myself. But that was number 5 because honestly, I just ran out of cons for living in Lincoln Park. And so a plethora of college students is the 5th con of living in Lincoln Park. So That sums it up. That is the 5 pros and the 5 cons of living in Lincoln Park, Chicago in 2024 from a local. And so I hope this video has been helpful. If you're thinking about moving here, feel free to just reach out. I put the number on the screen before. My team and I have been servicing City of Chicago, and we just love helping people buy homes or sell homes in Lincoln Park. And so do us a favor, reach out to us. We'd love to have the opportunity to serve you. And if this video has been valuable, do us a favor, comment, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next video. All right, peace.